that intensity, that love and passion for being alive and being a human and creating and learning and growing. They are so passionate about being alive. So it's sometimes hard to say, let me stew in that for a little while, let it resonate in my heart to see where I want to take you with next. That can take a minute. So when we're thinking about these labels, we've got to be mindful, right? We've got to think, how can I empower my kid? If I give them the gifted and talented label, if I tell my kids this piece, then what is the pressure that is going to put on them when they're in third grade and something maybe gets hard? Because third grade, I was just reading, oh gosh, there's a really good book. I'm going to have to share it with you guys.
Hi, Conscious Parents, it's Carrie here, and I am here with a little info about raising our mindful kids. I've got some tips and tricks about breaking free of the box and becoming who you are and teaching your kids how to do that along the way. Join us.
Hi there and welcome back. I'm Carrie. I'm your friendly conscious mama here, and I am excited to share another quick bonus episode with you parents, conscious parents, mindful and spiritual parents, raising our conscious, spiritual, and mindful kids as well. So let's jump right in. Today we are thinking about prayers and affirmations that we can share with our kids and with ourselves to help us connect with ourselves more deeply and more meaningfully. I don't know if that's a word. More meaningful connections for ourselves and more meaningful connections with our kids. These kids that are born today, do we want to use labels? Do we want to classify them? What do we feel like when we think about labels? Do we label ourselves in our minds? Do we label ourselves as the podcast host, as a parent, as a mom, as a highly sensitive person, as a neurodiverse person, gifted and talented? All of these labels and ideas that we can brand ourselves with. What are our thoughts on labels? As you guys have noticed, I use them a lot in podcasting and Instagram, YouTube, all of these social media platforms that I share my messages with you all through. But I don't really use them at home with my kids. Sometimes I'll say things like, I feel like you're having a sensitive moment. I feel like you're dysregulated, because I think vocabulary is essential to helping our kids understand their emotional, social, personal, physical stresses that can be going on in their lives. And monitoring where we're at in a daily situation is so helpful for our kids. It's so helpful for ourselves. Is this something that I have recently learned myself? Yes. Even as a speech therapist and a former educator, I'm still diving into all of these pieces myself. And as we're talking about labels, one thing I would love for you to keep in mind is our kids are born connected. Our kids are born seeking out spiritual guidance, seeking out spiritual questions, and actually already being connected intuitively. They are born with open hearts. They are born hearing what they want in life. That's sometimes why we label them as impulsive. They're like, I really want that thing right there. I'm going to reach out and grab it right away. I'm not going to go through the thought process of, is mom okay with me having this? Is it okay if I do this right now? Because in 10 minutes, I'm going to be leaving for ninja class. Should I get out this art set? No, their heart's like, I want to do this. This is calling to me. And for whatever reason right now, I am needing this right now. Is it hard to be a human if you live in that impulsive form? Yes. But our kids are born connected to their hearts, connected to their souls, connected to the universe, and having this higher level of spirituality that we as parents oftentimes have to reconnect with. Because sensitive parents or parents that have grown up with strict parenting, traditional parenting, maybe the universe or universities, people around them have had guidelines, things they needed to accomplish. I loved Eckhart Tolle used to say the more education somebody has, the more they need to connect and be mindful of their spiritual development and where they're at spiritually, because as we continue to grow and learn in our mind, it turns our brains on more. And then we have to use that to connect with our hearts again. Something we can think about while we're thinking about these pieces of labels is, if you want to use it or not. If you're going through the process of getting a label for your kid, maybe you need it for insurance purposes. Maybe you need it for working with a therapist. Maybe you need it for talking to your school about your kiddo. Like, gifted and talented, that's a label we would all love to hear, right? Oh, my kid is gifted. Now my heart, my ego too, parent ego, a little bit of parent ego. Ooh, my kid is gifted. We're all seeking that. Wouldn't that be lovely if we all had that in our lives? So these labeled pieces, think about when you label your kid as G and T. What does that do to their mind, to their hearts? My kiddo loves the G and T label. And for a while, I gave that to him right away. I told him because in his heart, he felt like sports aren't my jam. Science is my jam. Not all kids are into science. Are there going to be other kids I can connect with, Mom? So I was like, listen, your brain works quickly and your brain can learn 300 facts about whales. You're really lucky. That's a gift. And so I gave that to him, but then looking back, I'm like, oh gosh, should I have given him that label? I was wanting so desperately to help him feel connected and to help him hear his heart, but really I should have asked him, right? What do you feel like in your heart is your gift? What do you feel like in your heart are you talented at? I shouldn't have said learning these things, this is your gift, right? So we really need to tune inward when we're asked those questions by our kids. And sometimes saying, I want to think about that for a minute because I want to give you a really good answer and I want my heart to process it. That would have been the answer I would have loved to have shared with my son. And then thought about it and then came with what my heart feels is the best thing for his heart to hear now. But I have gifted and talented kids and they can be intense, right? That intensity, that love and passion for being alive and being a human and creating and learning and growing. They are so passionate about being alive. So it's sometimes hard to say, let me stew in that for a little while, let it resonate in my heart to see where I want to take you with next. That can take a minute. So when we're thinking about these labels, we've got to be mindful, right? We've got to think, how can I empower my kid? If I give them the gifted and talented label, if I tell my kids this piece, then what is the pressure that is going to put on them when they're in third grade and something maybe gets hard? Because third grade, I was just reading, oh gosh, there's a really good book. I'm going to have to share it with you guys. I'll put it in the show notes. It's really good. Oh, Gifted and Distracted, I think I'll double check it for you guys. But it was talking about how third grade brings on a new level of challenges academically. And my son, he just hit a wall of something that was hard, division. It's something new. It's some of the pieces that they've been doing in some of their accelerated math, and everything has always come easy, learning those facts and all of those pieces. But learning to learn can really be hard on a G&T kid's heart. Learning to try something that's new and hard, and maybe you don't feel like the perfect kid. So thinking about those labels before we tell our kids is something that I wish I would have thought about. But it's something that I've gone back to, and now I don't put a lot of stress on it. Now I love to have my kid reflect on, what do you feel like is your gift? I would love for you as parents to think about that. What do you feel like is your gift in life? Are you following your gift in your own field and your work experience? Are you following your gift? Maybe your gift is something you follow in your hobbies. Maybe your gift is something that you do with your kids. Maybe it's something that you do for yourself. So think about what your gift is as well, because as we're teaching our kids to stay connected to themselves, we are also thinking about how to reconnect or stay connected in our own hearts. What's the best teacher? Mom and dad. What's our best teacher? Our kids, the people that are with us and going through day-to-day challenges and learning, growing, and healing along the way. Think about these labels before you use them. Reflect back on what your own gifts are. I would love to know, what do you guys think my gift is? I was asking my husband the other day, I don't know if anybody's ever done the Garner's multiple intelligences. I can't remember if it's 7 or 8 multiple intelligences, but I did it and I was so surprised. I wasn't surprised by visual spatial because I've always loved to do interior design and planning these things. Also, running around on the metros in Europe, I was great at that, and knowing where we had been. Oh, it came in so handy when we were in Venice. I don't know if anybody's been to Venice, but that can be, every street looks the same there. But I got the visual spatial. I also got intrapersonal, knowing yourself, interpersonal, knowing relationships between yourself and others. And those were my top three. I was like, what am I going to do with the job? What am I going to do with this? You're going to start a conscious parent podcast, okay? You're going to start taking some metaphysical classes to grow in your spirituality. You're going to start using Reiki with your kids and also discovering other spiritual modalities, energy work modalities for yourself and for your kids. So maybe your gift might not look like a cut and dry idea of what you're going to do in life or where you're at in life, but how can you use your gifts in your life? Don't forget, as always, to show your kids how we use these gifts, to show them maybe it's not your first job, maybe you change careers later on. Tell your kids what happened. Tell your kids how you did it. Tell your kids how you tried new things. Because don't forget, with any of these kiddos coming in, I love the term. It was in that book and it's going to be in the show notes. Easy things are hard for our kids and hard things can be easy. If you are raising a gifted and talented, spirited, highly sensitive, and or neurodiverse or twice exceptional kids, don't forget that piece. Easy things can be hard and hard things can be easy. Oh, one other prayer. I forgot. I was going to leave you guys with a prayer today. So I would love for you to put your hand over your heart and think this in your mind as you're going along. If you're driving, please pull over. Thank you. So you can start with, Dear God, Source, Universe, whatever you believe in. Thank you for helping me to stay connected to the universe, Source, God, so that I can stay connected into adulthood. Now, how does that feel as a parent? Are you connected in adulthood? Maybe you need to reconnect in adulthood, so you can change the wording there. And also, as always, use this affirmation prayer with your kids and try to do it every day for a week. I'm going to challenge you with that. Peace out, parents. Sending love your way.
Well, that's a wrap. Thanks so much for tuning in, Changemakers. This is Carrie. And if you haven't done a review for us, 5 stars and a little few words about what you've enjoyed in our podcast episodes, we would really appreciate it. If you guys would like to ever message me, I would love any questions you have or any feedback at info@hearttoheartlife.com. We also have a brand new website, which we're super excited to share. It's hearttoheartlife.com. Thanks so much for tuning in, and happy life, happy times, Changemaker families. Please remember that the information shared on this podcast is educational in nature and does not constitute licensed mental health advice. If you need such advice, you should speak with a licensed professional about your unique situation. Thanks so much, happy listeners.